So in this lecture we will learn the shortest job first preemptive version, right? So in previous lecture we have seen the SJF, simple SJF, but here the SJF with preemption. So it is also known as shortest remaining time first. Also you can say it is a shortest remaining time next, right? So this algorithm that is with the preemption, SJF with preemption. So here you can say this is a preemptive approach of the SJF. So here at every instant of time the CPU will check for the some shortest job. So at every instance of time, that is at either at every 1 millisecond or maybe at every 2 millisecond, your CPU will go and check whether any new job or any new process which arrives into the ready queue, and if this newly arrived process having the less job timing than the currently running process. If it is less than the currently running process, that will be preempted. It will be pause and it will be swept out from the CPU, and the less job timing process that will be entered into the CPU. So here the preemption is performed. So that's a CPU preemption. So we will see that preemption with the help of example. So we'll start with this example. Now you can see the process is P1, P2, P3 and P4, which is right now into the ready queue. Arrival time is given. So at 0 millisecond only the process P1 is available into the ready queue. The remaining process, they are arriving at 1, 2 and 3 millisecond respectively. Now these are the burst time or job time for the each processes, right? Now here also the algorithm is, just remember the algorithm. Your algorithm is shortest job first. So again here we are comparing the job burst time, right? But the situation is there, the preemption situation, right? So if right now currently running process into the CPU, it is having the job timing more than the newly arrived process, then we will swap out that process and we will enter the newly arrived process which is having the least job timing. So that is a preemption is there, swapping out the running process, stopping that and entering the new process, swapping out again currently running process if it is having the more job timing than the running newly arrived process, like this way. So we'll start drawing the Gantt chart, okay, as we are doing in each and every algorithm. So drawing the Gantt chart here, okay. Now at the 0 millisecond, which process will enter into the CPU? So here at 0 millisecond, how many processes into the CPU? That is only the one process which is available into the CPU, that is a P1 at 0 millisecond. Okay, forget this P2, P3, P4, which is right now not into the ready queue, only the single. So we will compulsory enter the P1 here into the CPU, right? But here your algorithm is saying you at every instance your scheduler or the CPU will check any other process coming into the ready queue. So at 1 millisecond, P1 will complete its 1 millisecond, and after completion of 1 millisecond we will track its execution here by completing in 1 millisecond. So remaining is a 6 millisecond. At 1 millisecond the CPU will come and it will check any process at 1 millisecond into the this ready queue. Okay, it is a P2, right? It is P2. So we will check its burst time, that's a 8, and we will compare this. The algorithm will compare these two job timing. Which one is the less? That's a 6. 6 is of P1. So we will continue with the P1 again. We will not swap out the P1. We will continue with the P1. At the 2 millisecond P1 has completed. So here it's 2 millisecond of P1 is completed. So we will write it as a 7 minus 2, 5. And again new process arrived, that's a P3 at 2 milliseconds. So its a job timing is 7. So here the job timing that is compared is a 7, 8 and 5, which is a remaining burst time of the P1. So shortest remaining time first, that is a 5. So that is of P1. So we will again continue with the P1. We are not swapping out the P1, right? So that is a 5 and 3 millisecond. It means 1 millisecond of the P1 is completed again. So remaining are 4. At 3 millisecond again CPU comes and check whether any process comes into the ready queue. At 3 millisecond P4 is there. So here the P4 burst time is 3, all the burst time 7, 8, and is remaining burst time 4. So the comparison among this remaining burst time. So out of this burst time, the less one is a 3 millisecond, which is of P4. So what we are doing, we are swap out this P1 and we will enter the P4, entering the P4, right? So P4 having the less burst time, so we will execute the P4. How many burst cycle which is required by the P4? That's the 3. 3 plus 3, 6. Now why we are now directly writing the 6? Because after 3 millisecond, here you can see no other processes are coming at the 4, 5, 6. All the processes up to the 3 millisecond, all the processes are available into the ready queue. So now no need to check out for the at every instance for the newly arrived process. We will just apply the simple algorithm, right? So 6, that is 3 millisecond of P4 is completed. Now we will apply the simple SJF among these three processes. So this P4 is completed. Okay. Now remaining as we are applying the SJF on remaining 7, 8, 4. So less burst time, that is of P1. So we will complete the 4 millisecond of P1. 6 plus 4, 10. Okay. Now next remaining, so here P1 is also over. Okay, so we will compare this 8 and 7. So here we will enter the least burst time process, that's a P3. P3 requires the 7 millisecond. 10 plus 7, that's a 17. Okay, fine. And next one we will enter the last process P2, which requires the 8 millisecond. So 17 plus 8, that's a 25. Okay, so with this our Gantt chart is over. Ready? So how we have drawn the Gantt chart. What we are doing at 0 milliseconds, whatever the processes are available into the ready queue, we are comparing those processes, SJF algorithm. At every instance 1 millisecond, we are coming again and checking whether any processes are there, and we are comparing the burst time of that process with the currently running process. For the currently running process, we are keeping track of its completed burst cycle. Remaining time we are writing here, and like this way the Gantt chart is drawn. So now we will calculate the waiting time for the each and every processes individually. So process P1. Okay, so here very carefully calculate the waiting time, because this is a preemptive algorithm. Your processes are swapped out from the CPU and again it is swapping into the CPU, right? So that is a swap out swap in process. We have to carefully calculate the waiting time. So look at here carefully. That's a first response that is generated for the process P1, that's at the 0 millisecond. It minus it arrives at the 0 millisecond. So this is the time duration it has to sit into the ready queue. It is into the ready queue for the waiting for its turn. So here it is a 0 millisecond, right? Next one, the process P1, it continue up to the into the CPU up to 3 millisecond. Okay, at 3 millisecond it is swap out, it come out, enters into the ready queue. Here it come out and it enters into the ready queue, right? And again it enters into the CPU at 6 millisecond. So this is the duration. You can see 6 minus 3, this duration it is into the waiting state into the ready queue. It has to wait into the ready queue for the next turn. So how much time it has to sit idle into the ready queue into the waiting? So that is, sorry, so that is, you can say 6 here minus 3. Can you say this is 6 and this is 6? Okay, that is it enters into the CPU again minus last 8 exit from the CPU, right? Okay, now again checking if P1 is again exiting and entering into step in step out is again happening with the P1. No, it is not happening, so it is a final, right? So 6 minus 3 up to this, that's the waiting time for the P1 is over, right? So it is a 3 millisecond. Okay, now for the P2, first response is generated for the P2, that is a 17 millisecond, and it arrives at the 1 millisecond. Now whether your P2 swap in swap out is happening with the P2, because it's not happening, so here the waiting time is over for the P2. Now for the P3, again first response is generated at the 10 millisecond and it arrives at the 2 millisecond, so it's 8 millisecond, right? And for the P4, first response is generated 3 and it arrives at the 3, so it's a 0 millisecond. So with that, the waiting time is over for each and every process. Next, the turnaround time for each process is, it's for the P1 waiting time 3 plus burst time, that's 7, so it's a 10 millisecond. P2 waiting time is 16 plus its burst time, that's 8, so it is a 24. P3, that is waiting time is 8 plus its burst time, that's a 7, it is equal to 15. And P4, it is having the waiting time 0 millisecond plus burst time equal to 3, so it's a 3 millisecond. So from this you can calculate the average waiting time, that is equal to 6.75 millisecond, and average turnaround time, that is equal to 13 millisecond. Calculate it yourself, right? Division among these processes, summation and division average, right? So that is the algorithm, that is a shortest remaining time first. So what we are doing here, we are having the arrival time at every instance. We are checking how many processes are into the ready queue and we are comparing the job timing of those processes, right? And at every instance we are tracking the remaining time of the each of the processes if we are swapping out that processes from the CPU. So with this shortest remaining time first algorithm is over. Okay, thank you.